past weekend, my family and I decided to go out to Bath, which is the home of the famous YouTuber Charlie is so cool-like, who isn't there anymore and moved out to East London, but it was still a beautiful city even without his bright and red-headed face. However, it was 2.5 hours, so I was extremely tired, and by the time we got there, I thought it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The first thing we went to is the cathedral, which was beautiful. The whole city of Bath was beautiful. I mean, really fantastic. This was a lion that was a Wayne Rooney the lion. I don't know. I don't like soccer, but some people might like that joke. Then we decided to go on Bath's only sightseeing bus. But the whole time that we were on this bus, there were these bells ringing in the background. In fact, the whole time we were in Bath, these bells were ringing to commemorate the birthday of somebody. I don't really know who and don't personally care. It was annoying. But then my mom gave me this hat that covered my ears, so it was okay. Like I said, the whole city of Bath is beautiful. That's the rugby grounds. Apparently Bath is really big on rugby, and those are just gardens called the Orangery, because the Duke of Orange or something like that is the one who named them. That's the cathedral again. You really get a sense of how beautiful it is there. In fact, all the architecture in Bath was really, really beautiful. You got a sense that it was a really upper class and rich city. But with every rich city, of course, comes pickpockets. And trust me when I say, even if Bath isn't as rich as it used to be, those pickpockets are still there. You can just ask the wallet that my dad no longer owns. Luckily, I didn't lose anything. But by the way, this is my favorite shot of the entire sequence. Just, oh, wow. Anyway, the reason Bath is called Bath is named after the Roman baths that are still there and intact. They're absolutely gorgeous. I mean, you look at the carvings on the walls and the beautiful pillars and the white and the... Wait. Oh, that's right. This is where you buy the tickets to get into the baths. My bad. This is what the Roman baths actually look like. Not as splendid as they could have seemed, but really still quite spectacular. Those are actually original Roman statues, but I wanted to appreciate it, but the whole time those bells were still going off. It didn't really matter because you made your way right into a museum, and in the middle of the museum was a dead guy's skeleton to be specific. I don't know who, and I don't know why, but he's dead, and that's awesome that he's in a museum. The whole museum itself was dedicated to Roman life, because this wasn't a palace to an emperor or a temple to a god. This was a place where a Roman dude washed his junk, so you kind of got an insight of a normal Roman person, or Roman person skeleton. That's the head of Minerva, the goddess of bathing, I guess. Anyway, finally you made your way outside and could be down right around the bath. I must admit I lied because this is definitely my favorite shot. Or maybe this one, I don't know. The water was so hot that it was steaming. It was still kept hot, but nobody actually bathed in it anymore. As you'll see as I pan down here, the water is legitimately green, and that's just kind of nasty. I did sit by the water, but we'll get back to that later. As I was walking out of the museum/bath area, there was this glass walkway that was so cool I had to film it. And in the gift shop they were selling Roman bath water in a bottle, which is absolutely ridiculous because who on earth would buy bottled water? Anyway, after that we decided we need some lunch, so we went to the most exotic place I've ever been to. It's called Yak Yeti Yak, and it's a Nepalese restaurant, meaning that the cuisine is from Nepal. It was decked out with all the Nepal decor and then Nepal music playing in the background. I'll leave it on so you can hear it, and it was overall just the most exotic experience I've ever had. The food was really good too. I got this giant mound of just vegetables and chicken and noodles, and it was really good. We went into a very Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory-esque candy shop and decided to walk around Bath. We saw an advert for Gap jeans that had a guy holding 2 squid, and then we saw this awesome shot opportunity, which I took. That is my favorite shot. Then we saw these fields, or a picture of these fields, and they're somewhere in England, and they're very beautiful, but they have a very unfortunate name. Then comes the best part of the whole trip. That guy right there is one of the royal painters for the Queen. He's been commissioned to do 200 paintings around Bath, and in fact painted me and my dad waiting for my mom outside of the Jane Austen Museum. My mom's a big Jane Austen fan, my dad and I didn't care for it. That's us on the right-hand side, I'm in the red, my dad is in the black. Unbelievably, we actually got to buy this painting and now have an officially royally commissioned painting in our house. Then we went on a night walk with this guy, and it was really, really funny and really enjoyable, and if you're in Bath, I highly suggest you do it.
Now, I will do this myself, but I must warn you, what I'm about to do now is fairly gross and pretty disgusting. So if you are squeamish, if you don't like icky, gooey things, then look away now. Out with the camera.
Eventually it got really bizarre. He tied up a bunny rabbit, like a stuffed bunny rabbit, put it in a bag, and chucked it in the water. It was all good though, because the rabbit was a magic rabbit, and escaped. Then we saw some stormtroopers grabbing a couple beers, and then we watched this girl light ropes on fire and spin them around. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about why I like Bath so much, but to keep you guys from getting bored, I'll entertain you with bright and shiny ropes. Now the reason that I like Bath so much is because it's big enough to be called a city, but it's also small enough to retain a lot of its character. This is represented very well in the rugby team. I personally don't care for rugby very much, but the people of Bath do. Bath Rugby is the lifeline to Bath. We were there on a match day, and the whole city emptied. It was a ghost town. It was us and the rest of the Asian tourists. I need to do a video about Asian tourists. God, they are everywhere. Like, seriously. Everywhere. But anyway, I like it so much because it reminded me a little bit of Boston or Green Bay. It's a city, but it's a city with character. That brings us back to the Roman baths, and while I was sitting in front of them and thinking about how much this place is like Boston, I thought about Charlie is so cool-like, and how he grew up here, and how this place made him so, like, cool, and the fact that he probably went to Bath rugby matches, and probably was a big fan, and knew these places, and maybe been to rape fields, and he and I, we aren't so different. And that's cool.